Do you love reading magazines? If you are like me, you are also probably in love with great layouts and creative compositions. In this video, I will analyze the work of some of my favorite editorial designers and art directors who worked for magazines like GQ, Wired, Computer Arts, Cosmopolitan, Stylist, and much more. Join me if you want to learn about the terms and techniques used to create outstanding magazine spreads. Here we are back in Milanote with the board that I put together with all these amazing examples. The artists featured and also the link to the board itself you can find in the description below. In the description, you can also find the timecodes for all the terms that I'm mentioning. And there's also another link if you want to download the PDF version of all the terms and definitions that I covered in these two parts of this video. So last time we got to covering the headers and footers, and this time, before going on and covering more textual elements, I'm going to stop and talk a little bit about images. So whenever you place in images, there's two important things that you need to remember. First of all, is to have a caption for them and to credit the artist, whether it's a photographer or an illustrator. In some cases, you would see captions individually for each image, but a common practice would be also to combine them together and just simply refer to images as left, right, bottom. So in this text, we have everything written in one block of text. To simplify the credits, in case all the pictures were taken for an article by the same photographer, you can also include the name at the beginning within the byline section. So here, for example, we have words, which is the article written by a person, but then immediately after that, there's the credit for the photographer. It is quite common that other contributors are also named in the byline section. So here, for instance, beside the author, we have the photographer again, but also the stylist on the right side. Now, there's many different ways of adding the captions. They can be boxes overlapping an image, or they can be written over the images. And in these cases, usually it should be at the bottom where it's written, not on the top, because it can get confusing if you move captions around. It's again good to have a system for them. But this is again a rule that you can break if it makes sense. Like in this example, we have the text on the top left of that image, but that is mainly because the image on the far right corner of the spread where there's nothing else on top of it. So it is obvious that this caption refers to this image. And the reason why the text was placed there, because that was the best negative space within the image. So it would have been hard to read it anywhere else. And that is just another good example of understanding the rules. Doesn't mean that you always have to follow all of them. It's about being flexible and adapt the rules to the actual situation that you have in a spread. If there was another image on top of this, I would probably avoid adding the caption here on the top left corner. There's another term quite important to learn in print design. It's the bleed, which is usually important when you place images on your spread. Whether they are smaller images or they are covering the whole spread, you would most likely want them to go all the way to the edge. So like this image here goes all the way to the edge on the top, or this image goes all the way edge on the right. And this is where you need to make sure that you have bleed. Now the bleed is usually additionally 3 millimeters outside of the final print size, which then gets trimmed. And whenever you set up the images in InDesign, you just have to make sure that the actual boundary or the edge of the image goes all the way to the edge of the bleed. So that 3 millimeters will be sacrificed to make sure that you get a perfectly printed edge. And of course, bleed is not just for the images, it's also for the rest of the spread. Like in this case, we have a very subtle blue color in the background, which means that you need bleed throughout the whole spread. Now, there's a big variety of images that you can use, whether they are illustrations, infographics, or photography. And it can even be a combination of these. However, once you pick a certain style, let's say a style of illustration, like in this case, that should carry along in the whole article. So it is common if there is an illustrator commissioned to work on an article, they would be covering all of the graphical elements necessary. Once again, this is about to assure the repetition and unity within your design, which definitely is one of the most important things to make it look professional. Now, for images that run across a spread, so it covers both sides, we normally call them double truck or runaround. And here is a good example for that. Or here is another one, which you can see doesn't necessarily mean that it's an image in the background and then you put text on top of it. There can be clever ways of integrating your type behind and in front and create a bit more perspective or depth within your spread. And that's again a very important goal for you as a designer, because if you can make a two-dimensional plane, which is the magazine spread, into something that feels more three-dimensional, your readers will be more drawn into entering that space that you created. And there's one more term about images worth mentioning, and that is photo package, which usually is referred to a cluster of images combined whether into a column or even to a single row, or even when they are overlapped and stacked on top of each other like here. Now, when we refer to the safe zone within the design, we normally refer to everything within the margins. And the margins are those invisible outside edges that make sure that text doesn't get too close to the edge. Once again, there can be exceptions like the running head in this case and the footer at the bottom with the folios. But apart from the outside margins, you have to also pay attention to the inner margins, which we normally refer to as the creep. And this is where you would have the binding or the spine of the magazine. So apart from keeping things away from the edges, it's probably even more important not to place anything important in this central section of the spread. And that applies to both the textual elements and also the imagery. So notice how here cleverly the 4 characters within the illustration are placed on the left and the right sides, but no one is in the center. This is why planning is so important, and the editor should always communicate with the illustrator who is commissioned to work on the same article. Now, of course, you cannot always avoid to have no important detail around the spine or creep. So in this case, this double truck would have some details that falls into that spine section, but still you can see that the designer paid attention not to have the text on the creep. It's both here on the left and the right side. So it's still going to be legible once the final print comes out. With this example again, because the image covers up the whole spread, it's impossible to avoid details ending up near the spine or within the creep. However, all the textual elements are still safe and far away from the creep. Before we continue, I just wanted to let you know about our creative membership program. For a small monthly fee, you get access to over 200 hours of Adobe certified online training courses. Master all the tools and skills needed to become a professional graphic designer or illustrator. As a pro member, you will get mentoring from me and my team, access to webinars, student forum, and creative briefs to help you build an outstanding portfolio. Pro members can also download the project files for all of our YouTube tutorials. Sign up at yesimadesigner.com/memberships and start your free trial today. And now let's head back to the tutorial. Now, you might recall that I mentioned in the first part of this video that the main textual element within your spread is always going to be the body copy. And this is where the readability is the most important aspect of your design. So you would end up usually using columns to divide up the text, making sure that your line length is not too long. And when it comes to creating columns, you would end up also having a gutter or alley, which is the negative space within the columns. The size for this really depends on the text size and the line length as well, but essentially what you want to assure is there's enough visual difference between the two sides, so your readers won't end up jumping from one side to the other accidentally. In some cases, you can push the limits a bit and use very narrow columns like these. It's not really comfortable to read. Once again, it's a little bit too short of a line length, but because there's justification used, which creates a very sharp edge on the right instead of having ragged lines. So in these cases, you might also be able to reduce the size of the gutter or alley between the columns. Remember, readability should be your number one priority and not the stylistic formatting of text. When it comes to dividing columns, you could also use a down rule, which would be a graphical element dividing the columns. So in this case, these are just simple lines. But you can also be a bit more subtle with your down rules. Like here we have these vague dotted lines running down at the end of each column, so to the right side of each column. Now, there's another very common element within a magazine spread, which has several different names. This is what I'm talking about when you have an additional little article within the article. It's like a side story that relates to the article itself. There's many names for this. So it can be called panel, boxout, box copy, sidebar, and also secondary coverage. There are slight differences between all of these, but essentially they all relate to these additional separated or isolated details, which usually helps to tell a complete story beside the main body copy. Now, these should be visually separated and different from the rest of the body copy and the rest of the magazine spread. So that's just to make sure that the reader will know exactly when to read that. They can decide to read it first before they end up reading the body copy or afterwards. It's completely up to them. But you as a designer just have to make sure it's isolated. That can be by using a different font, a background color, and it can really vary in size. Sometimes it can even take up half of the page. However, the most common placement for these elements would be on the right edge of the spread. So this is an ideal placement for a sidebar. Panels can also be more graphic instead of just relying on text. Like here we have more like a little infographic, but it still would be considered a panel. And although here on the left side, we don't have a distinct background color, this detail is still isolated enough by having those simple graphical elements here, creating a little frame, and once again, helping or assuring that this is isolated enough to become a panel or box out. And since we are talking about frames, lines, of course, are also important elements within a magazine spread. They can help to guide the reader and direct their attention to certain details. Here we have a rule, for example, just underneath the headline. Or here we have an eyeline, which we normally call when a line runs across the entire spread. This is another way to visually unify the two pages. And remember when I talked about depth, here there's a beautiful example of integrating the image that's in the background with that eyeline that seems to be behind the image. So even though most of the text is placed on top of it, there's still another element that feels like is running behind the image. So that's a clever way of using masking techniques to establish more depth and perspective in the layout. And last but not least, we need to talk about white space or negative space, which is all the empty areas within your magazine spread. These are just as crucial as all the other elements that we already talked about, because without a good balance between the negative and positive space, you would end up having a cluttered and claustrophobic design. So even this massive drop cap we have here on the left defines quite a big negative space. And by the way, drop cap is another term that's used for defining these large first characters that can work again as a good entry point or focal point in the design. And if you are interested to learn more about them, I have a separate video on the channel, how to use Photoshop and InDesign to create exciting and engaging drop caps. But coming back to negative space, by having a lot of it really intensifies the rest of the elements and it gives a little more breathing space. So usually the more you use negative space, the more elegant and luxurious your magazine spread will feel like. And even though with this photograph we have a color in the back because there's no actual details, I would also consider that negative space. And that is all I wanted to cover in this two-part video. So now you should be familiar with all the terms and definitions about a magazine spread. I am planning to record similar videos about magazine covers and the general structure of a magazine. So if you don't want to miss out on those, make sure you subscribe to the channel and also hit the little bell icon to get notified when we release new videos. Also, please leave a comment if you have anything to add to what I covered. There might be other terms that I forgot to mention. And also, I would love to know which one was your favorite magazine spread example out of all of these that I showed in this video. Don't forget that you can find the links to all of these examples that I used in the Milanote board, for which the link is in the description below. Thanks a lot for watching. Like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we release new videos. Click on the link on my right and start your membership today to get access to over 200 hours of training courses and personal mentoring by me and my team of creative professionals. Have fun learning, guys, and I will see you in the next one.